Welcome to my channel Rare Old Coin Value, your ultimate destination for rare and valuable coins from around the globe. Here, we explore the hidden history, design secrets, and real value behind every coin, from ancient treasures to modern collectibles. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, because every coin has a story, and we're here to tell it. Stay tuned and let's dive into the fascinating world of coins. The $1 of the United States of America, bearing the words, Liberty, and, In God We Trust, is far more than a simple unit of currency, as it represents centuries of historical development, philosophical struggle, religious belief, political transformation, and cultural symbolism that can be traced back to the earliest encounters between European settlers and indigenous peoples, including landmark events such as the Wampanoag Treaty of 1621, which stands at the beginning of the long and complicated story that eventually led to the creation of the American nation and its national ideals. Long before the word dollar appeared on coins or paper money, the land that would become the United States was inhabited by Native American nations such as the Wampanoag Confederation, who lived according to their own systems of governance, trade, spirituality, and relationship with nature, valuing communal responsibility, balance, and survival, and it was within this context that the English Pilgrims arrived at Plymouth in 1620 seeking religious freedom and economic opportunity, carrying with them European ideas of private property, Christian faith, and political order that would deeply influence the future American identity. The Wampanoag Treaty of 1621, agreed upon between the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag leader Massasoit, established a mutual defense pact, promises of peace, restitution for wrongs, and a framework for cooperation, symbolizing an early attempt at diplomacy and coexistence that later generations would idealize as a foundation of American liberty, even though the reality was shaped by unequal power, cultural misunderstanding, and long-term consequences that ultimately harmed Native communities. The concept of liberty, which now appears prominently on the $1 coin and other U.S. currency, was initially understood by the Pilgrims as religious liberty, the freedom to worship God according to their conscience, rather than universal freedom for all people. Yet this limited vision would gradually evolve over time through revolution, debate, and conflict into a broader political ideal emphasizing individual rights, self-governance, and resistance to tyranny. Religion played a central role in this evolution, as early settlers believed their survival and success were guided by divine providence, a belief that would later find expression in national symbols and mottos, including, In God We Trust, a phrase that reflects the enduring influence of faith in American public life and which, although officially adopted much later in U.S. history, echoes the spiritual mindset of the 17th-century colonists who saw their journey as part of God's plan. As the American colonies expanded, agreements like the Wampanoag Treaty were frequently ignored or broken, leading to violent conflicts such as King Philip's War, which devastated indigenous nations and marked a turning point in colonial dominance, demonstrating the contradiction between proclaimed ideals of liberty and the reality of dispossession, a contradiction that would persist throughout American history even after independence. When the United States declared independence in 1776, liberty became a defining principle of the new nation, enshrined in foundational documents and later symbolized through national imagery, including the figure of liberty on coins such as the $1, representing freedom, democracy, and the sovereignty of the people, while the dollar itself became a symbol of economic independence and national unity. The phrase, In God We Trust, later added to U.S. coinage during times of national crisis, reinforced the idea that the nation's moral strength and future were linked to faith in a higher power, reflecting a continuity of belief from the Pilgrims' reliance on God during their earliest struggles to the modern American understanding of national purpose. The $1 coin or note thus serves as a condensed historical artifact, carrying within its inscriptions and symbols the memory of early treaties like that of 1621, the evolving meaning of liberty, the role of religion in public life, and the growth of the United States from fragile colonies to a global nation, while also silently reminding us of the indigenous peoples whose land, cooperation, and sacrifices were foundational to that growth. When examined deeply, the connection between the $1, liberty, in God we trust, the United States of America, and the Wampanoag Treaty of 1621 reveals a layered and often contradictory narrative, where ideals of freedom and faith coexist with histories of broken promises and inequality, making the $1 not merely a piece of currency but a powerful symbol of the American journey itself, a journey that began with fragile alliances and survival, moved through revolution and nation-building, and continues today as the United States seeks to reconcile its founding principles with the full truth of its past, ensuring that the lessons of early agreements like the Wampanoag Treaty are remembered as integral chapters in the long story of American liberty and identity. Please like and subscribe to my channel.